this is another reader. Welcome back to my channel. Today I decided to do a video I never thought I would make. I decided to check a celebrity book list, and the first celebrity that came to my mind is Emma Watson. One thing I do want to mention is that I used to be a big fan of Emma Watson, and instead I went to the cinema to watch The Bling Ring and Noah and Beauty and the Beast. And I also saw The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Now I'm not a huge Emma Watson fan anymore. Not really. But there is some kind of a nostalgia when I hear her name. Since she is the most famous bookworm out there, she even made a career out of playing a bookworm, I decided to go through her read list. Can't say that I'm impressed by her reading choices, but I am impressed by some of them. Before I get started, I want to say that I'm not checking Hollywood celebrities. I'd rather check news on metal artists instead, but since I have a book channel and Emma is a known book person in Hollywood, I decided to check what she has read. So let's get started. The first book I see on this list is Man Searching for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl. It's a memoir by psychiatrist Viktor Frankl about him working in 4 different concentration camps, including Auschwitz. Okay, let's move on to the next book. So the next book is some niche, obscure book about a boy in glasses that survived a tragedy, and he went to fight the guy who killed his parents. Well, I've never heard about this book. No, I didn't. So the next book on this list is 1984 by George Orwell. Very good book. In my opinion, and it's a very scary book, especially the 3rd act. The Ministry of Love is very dangerous. Okay, let's move on. The next book on this list is The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. I mentioned in my previous videos that I read Ayn Rand, well, the first part of Atlas Shrugged, and Ayn Rand I think is a good writer, just way too materialistic for me, and I really hope that her other books are more full of soul. So it's about the seeds of objectivism, her groundbreaking philosophy, and it's about a young architect whose integrity was as yielding as granite. Now, let's move on. The next book on her is the Harta by Hermann Hesse. I hope I pronounced that right. So what the book is about? It's something about philosophy, Eastern religions, Jungian archetypes, Western individualism, blah 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 blah. It's a philosophical book. Next book I see here is Quiet by Susan Cain. This is something about introverts. So this writer Susan Cain writes about introverts, and introverts include shopping, Rosa Parks, Dr. Seuss, and so on. Okay, you get the point what this book is about. So let's move on. The next book I see is Just Kids by Patti Smith. It's written here that Just Kids begins as a love story and ends as an elegy. It serves as a salute to New York City during the late 60s and 70s, and to its rich and poor, its hustlers and hellions. Never heard of Patti Smith. Now, from now on, I will only select the most interesting books. Okay, the next book I see here is His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. Good choice, but only to 66%. I just don't think the 3rd book is very good, because the earlier books had a good setup. 3rd book doesn't have a good payoff. Well, one thing I didn't like about His Dark Materials, the 3rd book, The Amber Spyglass, is that it wasted Lord Asriel's storyline, his fight, his struggles. That was very interesting. Instead, Philip Pullman gave us kissing teenagers. What I don't like about his Dark Materials is that it feels like it lacks heart and soul, and the characters are kind of bland. And I also really don't like when Philip Pullman, he constantly goes to Lyra is important, Charge bad, blah 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 blah. That's not very interesting. The story has a good potential, but it's not used to its full extent, unfortunately. The next book I see here is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I know that Emma played one of the main roles in the new adaptation, but I didn't see it. I really like the old adaptation with Winona Ryder as Jo March. It was very good. The Little Women is about 4 sisters, tomboy and Arthur to be Jo, tragically frail Beth, beautiful Meg, and romantic spoiled Amy, united in their devotion to each other and their struggles to survive in New England during the Civil War. It's a very interesting novel. I remember very well how my private tutor used this book to teach me English, and I liked it, although at first I hated it. But I do want to say that she gave me an adapted version, and the first copy of Little Women I bought was also an adapted version. It was a Penguin Readers version, the very first level. 1,000 of Splendid Suns by Khalid Hosseini. Now, I have read Khalid Hosseini, I read his The Kite Runner, and I thought it was kinda okay. It didn't spark any emotion in me. I felt no connection to the book, and I gave it away as soon as I had the chance. 1,000 of Splendid Suns, I heard that it was like The Kite Runner, but from the female perspective. Afghanistan, Soviet invasion, and so on. It is a striking, heart-wrenching novel of unforgiving time, an unlikely friendship, and indestructible love, a stunning accomplishment. Next we have East of Eden by John Steinbeck. Steinbeck. Which pronunciation is right? I don't know. In Russian we say Steinbeck. A masterpiece of biblical scope and the magnum opus of one of America's most enduring authors. Set in the rich farmland of California, this sprawling and brutal novel follows the intervened destinies of 2 families, whose generations helplessly reenact the fall of Adam and Eve and the poisonous rivalry of Cain and Abel. You know, for some reason this made me think of Paradise Lost by John Milton. I haven't read Paradise Lost, but I'm planning to get the book very soon. I'm curious to read East of Eden. I heard that his Dark Materials is said to be some kind of a retelling of Paradise Lost. Even the title itself, his Dark Materials, is taken from Paradise Lost. I will probably read East of Eden one day when I get my hands on this book. Next book I see is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I have a video on my channel named My All-Time Favorite Books. There are 19 of them, and The Handmaid's Tale is one of them. So, in Margaret Atwood's dystopian future, environmental disasters and declining birth rates have led to a second American Civil War. The result is the rise of the Republic of Gilead, a totalitarian regime that enforces rigid social roles and enslaves the few remaining fertile women. Offred is one of these, a handmaid bound to produce children for one of Gilead's commanders. Deprived of her husband, her child, her freedom, and even her own name, Offred clings to her memories and her will to survive. Once a scathing satire, an ominous warning, and tour de force of neurotic suspense, The Handmaid's Tale is a modern classic. It's a very good book. I absolutely love Brave New World, The Handmaid's Tale, 1984, and Fahrenheit 451, but there's one thing that unites them all. They're more setting-driven. I wish dystopian novels, even though I love them, they're more focused on plots and characters. They're also important. They're no less important than the setting. The Handmaid's Tale is one of the best books I have read, and I recommend reading it. I will read it again one day. The next book, The Hidden Life of Trees by Peter Wallflower. Sorry, I can't pronounce these names. Hidden Life of Trees is the first book in New York Times bestselling author in the Mysteries of Nature trilogy. Are trees social beings? In this international bestseller, forester and author Peter Wolleben, or I can't pronounce it, Wolleben. Sounds like something German to me. Optimistically makes the case that yes, the forest is a social network. He draws on groundbreaking scientific discoveries to describe how trees are like human families. Sounds interesting, but it's not something I'm going to read. Catching the Big Fish by David Lynch. When I read the name David Lynch, I thought about the director. Even though I haven't seen any of his films, I should probably watch Dune, and I will do that soon. He provides a rare window into his methods as an artist, his personal working style, and the immense creative benefits he has experienced from the practice of meditation. In brief chapters, Lynch explains the development of his ideas, where they came from, how he grasps them, and which ones appeal to him the most. He specifically discusses how he puts his thoughts into action, how he engaged with others around him. Sounds interesting. Next book over here is The Sleep Revolution by Ariana Huffington. We are in the midst of a sleep deprivation crisis with profound consequences to our health, our job performance, and relationships with happiness. What we need is nothing short of a sleep revolution. In The Sleep Revolution, Ariana explores all the latest science on what exactly is going on while we sleep and dream. Okay, I understood what this book is about. Moving on. So here are some books that I don't find interesting. Nights at the Circus by Angela Carter. Let me see that. From the master of the literary supernatural and author of The Bloody Chamber, her acclaimed novel is about a circus performer who is part woman, part swan. It reminds me of The Swan Princess, great animated film from the 90s. I used to watch that all the time. Now seriously, this is a different story, but still sounds very good. Why is that most books she reads are non-fiction? Oh, here's a book I had when I was a kid, and I began reading but never finished, and it's The BFG. From the best-selling author of Charlie and Chocolate Factory and Matilda, Roald Dahl. The BFG is no ordinary bone-crunching giant. He is far too nice and jumbly. It's lucky for Sophie that he is. Had she been carried off in the middle of the night by the blood bottler or any other giants, she would have soon become breakfast. Oh, I wish I had finished this book when I was in Moscow. Okay, so the next book here is The Diving Bell and the Butterfly by Jean-Dominique. I can't pronounce the writer's name. Okay, so in December 95, editor-in-chief of French Elle and the father of two of young children suffered a massive stroke and found himself paralyzed and speechless, but entirely conscious, trapped by what doctors called a locked-in syndrome. He began dictating this remarkable story, painstakingly spelling it out letter by letter. His book offers a haunting, harrowing book inside the cruel person of locked-in syndrome, but this also dream of human spirit. Not bad, but I don't think I'm going to read it. Oh, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I own that book. I read it twice, I think, or even more. And it's a quite decent young adult. But I don't think that I will be reading it again, because I'm not a fan of young adult anymore. So The Perks of Being a Wallflower follows Charlie, and as he goes through some teenage drama. The first date, family drama, new friends, blah 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 blah. Participating in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Not a bad book. If you are after some good young adult fiction, I recommend it. And that's kinda all. Now, of course, I didn't go through all Emma Watson's favorite books. There are much more, and I will link the site in the description. I just went through the books that seemed the most interesting to me. One book I want to read after going through this list is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I will try to get myself that one day, but not now. Now I'd rather get Paradise Lost when I have the chance. Alright, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and found some interesting books for yourself from Emma Watson's to read list. Please like and subscribe and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'd love to reach 100 subscribers very soon. See you next time. Bye.